So we're going to look at seated movement for posture. And what we're going to look at is the pelvis, the ribcage and the skull, because they all need to work in sync together. So it's nice to get them moving together and think of all three components. So with the head, what we're going to look at is up, down motion of the skull. We're going to look at a sort of slumped ribcage and a raised ribcage. And we're also going to look at a tucked under pelvis and a rolling forward pelvis, or as we call it, a posterior tilt and an anterior tilt. It's the same language in the rib cage. We have a posterior tilt of the rib cage and an anterior tilt of the rib cage, and the same in the head, posterior, anterior. Okay, so what we'd like to see, I'm going to do this from the side, but if we are sitting and you want to get more movement up through your spine or through your shoulders, or just to help the neck or whatever it is you're trying to achieve, but start by, the most common mistake is this. It's trying to push this up and forward and pull these back. And that is not comfortable, and it's not a natural position for the body to do. So hence why when people do that, you probably will feel that it doesn't feel very nice in the spine. This is also a lot of effort to do, okay? And naturally what you'll do is you'll find yourself here for a minute or so, and then your body will just sink back to where it was, because it can't, it's too much effort to hold up you upright like this, and it's a lot of work for the spine, which it doesn't want to do. So let's give it an experience of both. So let's go to its extreme ranges up and its extreme ranges back, so that you can your brain has an idea of where the middle of those two extremes are. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the pelvis, and you've got a sense that if you find your sit bones, you can sort of roll back on your pelvis, and you'll know you're rolling back because your lower spine is basically essentially going back out behind you. So you're in this position here, you're sort of rolling back over your sit bones like this. And notice how my whole spine is round. My rib cage has just fallen with it. And I'm going to talk about the rib cage movement from the sternum, which is here. So as the pelvis is rolled back and under like this, I'm just going to let the sternum drop back and down, and look how much further I can go. I'm not doing this movement by sucking in my abs, trying to pull them back and down, okay? The abs is relaxed. If you need to put your hand on your stomach, I don't want you to pull your stomach to try and make that movement. That is not how you flex your back. Okay, so use your hand on your stomach, make sure this is really relaxed, and the movement is coming from the roll of the pelvis. The shape of the pelvis is, you can almost roll through the bones, and then with the spine, even if you want to put your fingers on your lower spine, just have a sense of that travelling and falling back behind you. It's not coming from gripping and sucking in your abs. And then when you've got a sense of you just sort of falling back, just let this fall too, and you can see how much further my rib cage has fallen back. And then the last bit is the head. I want you to just let it fall back like this. Big open space here. Let the base of your skull go to the base of your neck. And nice and slow, and just enjoy that. And if you want, you can even add in an exhale breath. Now we're going to reverse it. But I want it to happen from the pelvis. I don't want it to come from shoving or trying to shove the rib cage forward and up. Okay? So if you put your hands on the bony bits at the front of the pelvis, what you can do, a bit like those handles you see on car seats to wind your car backwards and forwards. If you imagine you've got one on either side of your pelvis, or use your hands on the bony bits on the front, you can just roll your pelvis forward, and it's like you're trying to get the bony bits at the front of the pelvis kind of on top of your legs. So you're kind of going from here to here. Notice how my fingers are dropping down at the front. Now this has naturally put me into a rounded spine. I haven't had to push my spine forward. I've done it by virtue of just rolling my pelvis down and forward. You'll also notice that if you think about where your pubic bone is between your legs, that should be travelling down towards the front of the chair, down, and the front of the bony bits at the front are going down. Now already that has made me nice and tall. I haven't had to do too much work with the rib cage. But if you do want to add in a little bit of rib cage, I want you to think of it coming from here and just have a sense that this is just tilting, the top bit is tilting back and the bottom bit is sort of tilting up. So it's that action there, not that, okay? It's just a nice little rock of the rib cage. I don't have to go very far because actually most of the movement came from the pelvis, and then with the head you're going to do the opposite. It's almost like you're pouring water out the front of your nose, brings your chin in, keep your eyes on the horizon. So now I'm in a tall position, which is the extreme opposite of what I just did, and then I'm going to roll back into the opposite position, starting with the pelvis. So I'm going to let it roll under, abs nice and relaxed. I'm just going to sink back. Last, I'm going to let this go, and then I'm just going to let the head roll back, and then I'm just going to feel that pelvis rolling forward there. I'm just going to give it a little nudge here. You'll know if you've got this in a great space because you'll feel a stretch in your abdominals, and that feels incredible. If you're pushing too much, you'll only feel your back and you're not rolling through your pelvis. You might just have stopped moving your pelvis and you're trying to get it from the upper body, okay? So indicator of where if you're doing this wrong or moving from the wrong place is obviously discomfort and pain. If you're feeling like you're kind of able to move like that and you don't feel the abdominal stretching, that's fine as well. But you just want to make sure that your brain knows that it can go full range back and it can go full range forward through the pelvis. And notice how it's just taking my rib cage naturally with it. But I'm going to give it an extra little nudge just with my hand and make sure the head does the opposite. So the head goes back, head goes down. Make sure that when you go back, the abs are relaxed. They're not sucking you back and down. And then what you'll notice is because you've gone to the extremes, you actually end up, when you're sitting, you're like, oh, I feel a lot more balanced rather than being in one of the extremes. You've now pushed it from one extreme to the other, so you're now in a much more balanced space. The other thing you can obviously do is then bring in the arms. So when you're in a space of here, letting the pelvis roll under, relax the abs, let this drop, let the head go back, you can just bring your arms forward and rotate them in and bring them forward. So your shoulder blades at the back are coming round and forward around your rib cage. And you can just twist your arms in and enjoy that space there. And then as you come out, remember it's coming from the pelvis tilting forward, sternum just rises, pour water out the front of your nose, tuck your chin. And then what I'm going to do is take my collarbones back behind me like that. So I want you to think of this bone here traveling like round the back of your body. You can take the arms with it and you can just turn your arms out. Think about your bicep wrapping around the back of your upper arm there. That will move your rib cage. You don't have to lift your rib cage. If you feel like you're getting a bit backy from trying to push here, just to make sure you've got that movement of the pubic bone dropping down to the chair, and then leave the rib cage nice and calm and just get the movement from the arms. So bring the collarbones back and round. Here, think about the biceps wrapping around the back of the arms, and then just nod your head down there. And then you can just let it fall, and you can just work through both of those postures so that your body and your brain gets in a chance to feel both up and down, but make sure you're getting the movement from below and make sure the head is also moving. It's not just trying to come from here because your spine will not like that.